If you've been around a while, you have definitely heard me say that we can learn a lot from stories. Myths, fairy tales, folk tales, that kind of thing. Today I'm going to walk you through the singing pouch to show you some things that may be hiding in plain sight. Hi, I'm Laura Giles with Pan Society. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like our channel, please subscribe so that you don't miss a single new episode and show us some love. All right, so the singing pouch is based on true events. It's in our archive, so if you haven't seen it yet, please check that out. The story about an animist girl whose grandmother dies, and Granny chose her to be her spirit tender. Now, what's a spirit tender? Spirit tending is found in a lot of animist cultures. There are a lot of different ways that this is done, but basically it comes from the understanding that death is a process. It takes time to cross over, and in this in-between space, the dead have no power of their own. They get their energy from grief and prayers and things like that, and helps them to let go and move forward. So in this story, Lilibeth gets a singing pouch, which Grandma infuses with her essence by putting a lock of her hair inside. Lilibeth can sing to Grandma and hear Grandma singing to her. Lilibeth's singing gives Lola the energy she needs to keep going. And Lilibeth can hear how it's going because she knows the singing will stop when Lola gets to the other side. The problem is the singing never starts. And Lilibeth knows something is wrong because she's also having nightmares of a little girl crying. So the family goes to the spirit walker to find out what's wrong. And the spirit walker tells the family that Lola is upset because she was not buried the way that she wanted to be. Now, if you know anything about the gods, you know that there are a couple of things that really upset them. One is when someone neglects hospitality. The other is when someone abuses the dead. Like if you know the story of Helen of Troy, when Achilles dragged Hector's body around Troy, it was like the worst affront ever. So things like that just aren't done. So this is a big deal. You know, they spend all that time wailing and grieving, not only for their own healing, but so that Lola can die in peace. And her last request is not honored. So why is it that a little girl is crying in her dreams and not old Grandma? First, Grandma is not being her rational adult self. She's angry and upset and emotional like a child. And Lilibeth is also a child. So she sees this childlike energy in Grandma very easily. So it's the archetypal child that's being activated here. And another reason is that Lola's fondest wish of all time was to be buried with her dad because that's the thing that she loved most about life. And that was not honored. So it's her child self that is crying here. Her child self wants yearning for daddy kind of thing. So when the spirit walker asks Lilibeth to go to the other world with her to help Lola, what's happening there? Well, many cultures have people who can go into the spirit world to help the dead to get to the other side. So that introduces that idea. Another idea is that the young and old are closer to death. So they find it easier to cross that threshold and speak to the spirits. The third animist idea is that often the wisdom of the elders and the innocence of children are that secret sauce that makes magic happen. So sorry to the people in between. Most of us have lost that playful innocence and haven't yet gotten that wisdom. So even though we often discount the young and old in mainstream society, they have an important place in animist culture. And that's exactly what happens next. So Lilibeth sings to Lola, and that breaks the spell and brings peace and love into Lola's heart so that she can get unstuck. And when Lola turns into light, it's like she returns to her true spiritual form. The bees arrive to escort her to the other side because they're sensitive to death. And when a beekeeper dies, the family has to tell the bees or else they will either fly away or die themselves. The family also drapes the hives in black for a time to give them a chance to mourn. So lots and lots of tradition in this story. And finally, our story ends with Lola becoming an ancestor. And this is important because I think many people feel that anyone who came before you is an ancestor, but that's not true. You have to die well and be well in spirit to be an ancestor. Otherwise, you're just a ghost. And that's why there are so many rituals and superstitions around dying, funerals, death, and mourning, like covering the mirrors and making sure that the corpse leaves with the house with the feet first, or cleaning the graves or the bones. So, now you have a story to help you understand some animist customs around death. You can share it with your little ones so that they grow up knowing these things. Thank you for watching. Ciao.